You know, my superpower is influencing, impacting, and empowering someone. Now, influence is having an effect on someone. Impact is having a strong effect on someone, and empower is helping someone go to a higher level, gain confidence, and grow in their self-confidence. In other words, to rise. Now, after my grandfather died, I was meeting with the men who were running the lodge that he was over, and they were telling me the reason they have a scholarship, an education scholarship, is because of my grandfather. He would always tell them, we have to help young men get an education because that's the one thing, once you get it, no one can take it away from you. See, in other words, once it's in your head, no one can take it away. Now, he used to tell me that very same thing all the time. You see, he had to quit school when he was in the 6th grade, and he felt that he missed out. And every time we were cutting those white people's yard, he would always say, this is why, son, you want to get your education. He would say, so you can live in a house like this, so you could have someone else cutting your yard so that you won't have to work as hard as I have to work. In those moments, he was influencing me. He was having an effect on me. The physical labor on those hot summer days in Louisiana was having an impact on me, and his mentorship and guidance empowered me to be more, to do more, and to live more. Now, see, this reminds me of a story in this European village where these tourists were there, and they were having a good time, and they were being very nostalgic, and they ran across this old man sitting on the sidewalk. And they asked him, hey, do you live here? And he looked at him and he said, yes, I live here. I've lived here all my life. Now, guess what? They said, they got even more excited and they said, man, we have some more questions for you. And here's what happened. They said, have there been any great babies born here? Now, the old man looked at him and he just smiled and he says, no, only babies. You see, those babies who are being born are right here in this country, in your city. We have to help them be great by influencing, impacting, and empowering them. They're not born that way. We make them great. My grandfather influenced, impact, and empowered me. So my superpower of influence, impact, and empower was given to me by my grandfather. See, I consistently mentor, coach, and uplevel other people because I want to help them do more, be more, and live more. You see, I didn't select my superpower. It was ordained in my life because of my grandfather. So now I'm obligated to influence, impact, and empower others. Imagine you're 5 years old, locked in a closet. Look, you're 5 years old being locked in a dark closet, not for a little while, but for hours. You see, when I was 5 years old, my brother and I, when we would make noise or do things that my mother's boyfriend didn't like, he would lock us in a closet. And we would be there for hours at a time. And at 5 years old, I was afraid. I was scared, didn't know what to do. But we couldn't make noise. We couldn't try to come out or there was going to be trouble. But what I would do to get away from there, I would dream that I was living with my grandparents across town, away from this situation. Now, I would always dream and pray that this would happen. And I'll never forget one Saturday evening, my mom said, Mama Effie wants to talk with you. That was my grandmother. And I got on the phone, didn't know what she was going to say. And she said these magic words, we're coming to get you tomorrow to live with us. Now, that was music to my ears. And let me tell you, when I hung up the phone, I ran to my room, I got my suitcase out, and I packed it. Now, I went to bed that Saturday night knowing that tomorrow was going to be a great day for me. I got up early Sunday morning, and I started walking out. And my mother said, well, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm going to wait for Mama Effie and Pop. She goes, well, you know, they're not coming to after church. Now, back then, they didn't get out of church till 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I sat on that porch until they got there. And when I saw their car pull up, I ran to their car and they said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm ready to go. They said, no, we're going to go visit with your mom first. And I said, okay, I'll wait here. See, I had no intentions of stepping foot in that apartment again. I had no intention of them mistakenly leaving me behind. So I sat there and waited for them. Another chime that I want you to bring to your attention is when I was growing up, I didn't know who my biological father was. I know who they said was my biological father, but I learned many years later, in fact, when I was 48, that he wasn't my biological father. Things started making sense to me when I was little. I couldn't understand why he would make promises to me about what we're going to do on my birthday, and then the day would come, he would never show up. I remember how I would get so angry and say, how could he forget? Because it was the same day as his birthday. And I didn't understand it until I realized that he wasn't my biological father. Now, I knew, once I found out who my biological father was, I knew that guy. But I only knew him as my older sister's biological father. But unfortunately, we couldn't develop a bond because he was killed when I was 12 years old. You see, those events shaped my life. Those events helped me understand what type of man, what type of father, what type of dad I wanted to be. And I wanted to do the opposite of all of those things. In fact, I believe in it so much. I believe that fatherhood is the greatest gift that's been given to every man. And I believe in it so much, I wrote a whole chapter dedicated to fatherhood in my new book, $1 Million Beach House, My Journey to an Extraordinary Life. Now, you know, Booker T. Washington once said, success is not where you are. Success is overcoming the challenges you had to overcome to get to where you are. Now, Gandhi is on the floor speaking to Parliament, and he spoke for 2 hours without notes. Now, at the end of this speech, a reporter walked up to his assistant and asked, how could Gandhi speak for 2 hours without notes? Now, here's what she said. She goes, you don't understand Gandhi. You see, what he thinks is what he feels. What he feels is what he says. What he says is what he does. What Gandhi feels, what he thinks, what he says, and what he does are all the same. So he doesn't need notes. Now, what I want you to understand is when values, thoughts, feelings, and actions are all in alignment, a person becomes focused and his character is strengthened. His character is strengthened. Think about that. Now, that's all every leader needs to lead his life successfully. The only reason why God continues to bestow blessings in my life is because I don't expect anything in return. You see, when we wrote a check for $1.2 million to pay cash for our house, I knew we were on another level with God. Nothing can stop a person operating on a higher level from ultimate success. See, too many people worry about what's in it for them. See, I don't. My first thought is, how can I add as much value to that person as possible? See, a lot of people call me and ask, how much will it cost for me to help them? That's not my first thought. My first thought is, how can I add value to this person where they need it, when they need it, and how they need it? You see, when I add value to them, they will be willing to pay me. In fact, when I add value to them, they will be willing to pay me double my value. You see, pay is second for me. That's a reason why. It works. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it. And don't get me wrong. I love making money. I love generating revenue in my business. And I'm pretty good at it. But I don't think about it first. And that philosophy has served me well. And I'm going to continue using that philosophy. You see, what I think is what I feel. What I feel is what I say. And what I say is what I do. Now, I'm going to repeat this so that you make sure that you get it. What I think is what I feel. What I feel is what I say. And what I say is what I do. At 19, man, what would I tell myself? You know, the law of significance says one is too small a number to achieve greatness. And I wish I would have learned that principle when I was 19 years old. See, when you're young, you believe that you're invincible and that you can conquer the world all by yourself. See, that's sort of like saying I could climb Mount Everest by myself. You need other people to go with you to help you make that climb. You need other people to take other people on that journey with you. See, to climb Mount Everest, you need a Sherpa guide to help you climb to the summit and back safely. It's not about brute force. It's not about youth. It's not about will. See, many people have will. It's about the skill. It's about wisdom and the knowledge to take the journey. Now, 3 principles that I would share with myself. Number 1 is always look for opportunities to grow and expand my mind. See, the law of intentionality says growth stops when we lose. Let me restate that. The law of intentionality states that growth doesn't just happen. We must be intentional in order for it to happen. See, no one wants to be around a person today who thinks the same way they did 5, 10, or 15 years ago. Number 2, value people above money and things. Now we all want money. We all need money and things to live, right? But if you don't have a person to share it with, then what's the point, right? So now what I want you to understand is we all need to have shared experiences, create memorable moments. That's what I try to do for people. You see, those memorable moments are things that's going to last way past me being here. When I'm gone, they'll remember those memorable moments. Number 3 is influence, impact, and empower others. In other words, take people on a journey that they can't go by themselves. And I'm going to add a 4th one in here because I just think it's important. You must be willing to pay the price. See, leaders, entrepreneurs have to be willing to pay the price. In other words, they have to give up to go up. And by price, I don't mean money. It's your effort, your will, your attention, your dedication. Then that reminds me of a young sales guy by the name of Montgomery Ward. And back in 1872, Montgomery Ward wanted to sell products directly from the manufacturer to rural customers. Now, the company was doing so well and well established by the 1900s. And it even had owned a skyscraper, one of the largest skyscrapers west of Manhattan. But over the years, Montgomery Ward failed to keep up with the pace of change and new methods. See, he wasn't willing to pay the price. By 2000, they were out of business. Because he was afraid to pay the price to keep going, he gave up everything. He lost it all. So the question for you is, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to give up to go up? If you're not, you're going to be like Montgomery Ward's and you're going to be out of business. So be willing to give up so you can go up. You know, people always ask me, how am I doing? And I always say, I'm always doing great. I'm living a dream life. And this is a philosophy that I have. And everyone that knows me, they know that's what I'm going to say. See, I'm living in my dream beach house. I'm retired doing the things I want to do when I want to do them. I'm still married to the same person God gave me at 19 years old. My children are both college graduates, thriving in their life. And my son just gave us our first grandchild. Why wouldn't I be great? Right? See, the universe has given me everything I could ask for and more. Now, let me be clear on this, okay? When I say the universe, I mean my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the universal giver that I'm referring to. Without him, none of this is possible. See, I love what's coming up next for me in my life. And at age 35, God's promised that if I followed his plan, he would show me things in my life that I couldn't dream of, that I couldn't envision back then. Now, I followed the plan and he's taking us to a higher level. Now, he's given us goals of $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Been there, done that. Now he's taking us to 10. Now, we have a ways to go to get to 10. But guess what? We're going to continue to follow his plan because it works. What I want to do is, my goal is to up-level Proverbs 13 and 22, which says, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. My goal is to leave an inheritance for my children's children. In other words, my great-grandchildren. See, next thing that I'm committed to is, I've committed with a publisher to write 10 books. Now, 2 are already done. A third one is in the works. And guess what? It's amazing because just 2 years ago, I hadn't even planned to write 1 book, but God winked on me, and then boom, it happened. Now, from a business perspective, we're about to launch the first and only automated pricing tool in the speaking, coaching, and training space. It's going to up-level, it's going to revolutionize what business owners do in terms of pricing, how they think into their business. And finally, my son has blessed us with a grandson, JC. Man, I'm so excited about this. We are about to bless this little boy with all kind of wonderful things that God has blessed us with. This all goes back to influence, impact, and empowering people. What I want you to pick up is, I have definite plans. I have specific action steps I take, and I never give up. I want to ask you, are you willing to never give up on yourself? You know, there's 2 guys, they were workers, and they decided to take lunch. And one of them sat down and he opened his lunch pack and he pulled out a sandwich and he looks at it and he goes, it's a bologna sandwich. This is the 3rd time this week I done had a bologna sandwich. He goes, I don't like bologna. I don't want another bologna sandwich. Why do I keep having bologna sandwiches? Now his friend looked back at him and said, man, just chill out, just relax. He said, next time, just tell your wife you don't want a bologna sandwich. Now he looks back at his friend and says, keep my wife out of this. I fix my own lunch every day. You see, the bologna that we have in our lives, we pack it there. The bologna that we have in our business, we pack it there. The question is, what bologna is your team packing into your lunch pail every day? What bologna are they bringing from last year into this year? What bologna are they bringing from their last company into your company? You see, we have a choice. We can change those things. And people hire LaFleur Leadership Institute to help build best-in-class leaders. They hire us to help change those things. They hire us to help improve their market momentum and their team performance. They hire us when they're ready to give outstanding customer experiences. See, the law of timing says when to lead is just as important as what to do and where to go. Companies bring us in when they're ready to be influenced, impacted, and empowered. You see, they hire me when they are ready to be extraordinary. Now, I know the word is extraordinary, but I don't like that word. I like extraordinary. See, the only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is extra. The only difference between winning and losing is belief. The only difference between a team reaching their full potential and not reaching their full potential is desire. The only difference between hot water and boiling water is 1 degree. You see, at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. With boiling water comes steam. With steam, you can power a train. The only difference between your team being ordinary and extraordinary is LaFleur Leadership Institute. When you are ready to go to the next level, when you're ready to take your team to the next level, you'll bring in LaFleur Leadership Institute, because that's what we do. That's what we are about. Successful people and successful teams and unsuccessful teams don't vary very differently in their abilities. What they do is they vary differently in their ability to maximize their potential. In life, there are experiences you go through. There are teams that you work with. There are companies that you get to experience things. And today I had one of those experiences with Media Expertzy. You see, some people are experts and some people are novices. Media Expertzy is an expert in shared experiences, helping you understand how to go in a studio, helping you understand how to maximize your potential in front of the camera, helping you understand how to appreciate what you have in your intellectual property. Today, I've had an experience that has greatly exceeded my expectations. The people, the process, the tools that they have are well above anything you can imagine. So if you're looking for someone to help you up-level your media game, or you're looking for someone to help you up-level your processes, then you need to come check out Media Expertise. They can help you go to another level. In other words, they can help you be extraordinary.